Okay, you ready? It's recording now. What do you want to say?
This is a little Lego.
Yep. Anything else? Do you want to say hi to all the students?
Hi.
Hi. Hope everyone's having fun and being safe and being healthy. This is the first day of being at home. And so we're putting together a video for you of the lessons that we would have done in school so you can keep learning. And I think that's it. So let me show you the video. All right. Okay, testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me? Welcome, students. As I just said, this is the video that is going to replace the learning that we would have done in school. So essentially, it's the same kind of slides, and I've adjusted them a little bit so that you can still do the mini lesson. You can still do some reading on your own off of the documents on Google Classroom, and you can still write a response to a task. So it'll follow our usual format that we've been doing. So first, welcome, and want to say I hope everyone is safe. I hope everyone is healthy. That's the number one priority for you during this time period right now. You are going to, during this time where we're doing remote learning, what we want you to do is we want you to check Google Classroom. Each day we'll be posting videos like this. We'll be making announcements. We'll be posting the tasks, the homework that you need to complete. We'll add some assessments, practice assessments and actual assessments through either Quizzes or Castle Learning, things like that. We understand that this is very new and it might be confusing for you. It also might be confusing for us teachers. So bear with us. Please feel free to ask lots of questions on Google Classroom if you're confused about any of the assignments or tasks. And be patient. Just trust us that this is going to be something that's new, and we're going to put our best effort into it. But as long as you are doing your best to try to keep up and learn, your grade is going to be just fine at the end of this all, right? Don't stress that as long as you are keeping up. All right, so the timing is interesting for this remote learning process because we just finished our interwar period unit between World War I and World War II. And so we're just going to transition right into our next unit, which is World War II. Some homework that you need to be aware of. First, if you were absent, many of you were absent on Friday, March 13th, that was the last day that we actually had class, then you missed the interwar period quiz. And we understand that many of you were absent because you stayed home for your own safety, and that's fine. You need to make up the interwar period quiz on Castle Learning if you were absent that day. So you'll go to Castle Learning. If you were absent, it's been assigned to you, and you'll find the interwar period quiz assignment there in Castle Learning. If you were in class on that day, then you don't need to do the quiz because you already did it, and it hasn't been assigned to you either, so you won't even see anything there. But again, if you were absent on Friday, March 13th, you can make up the interwar period quiz on Castle Learning. Do that, please, as soon as possible. Guided reading. We have the Hitler's Lightning War guided reading, which is due on Friday. That's the 27th. The old version is you did it on paper, and you've been doing these all year, so you know how to do them. The new version is on Google Classroom. So on Google, I took the worksheet and just turned it into a Google document. The questions are exactly the same. So you'll read the text just like you have before. If for whatever reason you've misplaced your text, we will have a PDF of the text on Google Classroom for you to refer to as you do the worksheets. You'll turn everything in on there. And there'll be 4 guided readings in this unit during this time that we're doing remote learning. So be sure to keep up with those. You can turn them in early, just please don't turn them in late. All right, so here's AIM 1. This is the first lesson of our World War II unit, and the AIM question is, who should be considered primarily responsible for the fall of France. So you already know, based on that aim, that France is going to lose. They're going to fall to Germany. The question is, who's responsible for the fall of France? The German military or the French defense system? What we mean by that is, was the German military just so good, they were so strong, that they're responsible for defeating the French? Or is it that the French defense system was so weak or so unprepared or so poorly utilized that they're responsible for losing to Germany? And this is similar to when we asked this question during the interwar period, sort of who's responsible for the rise of Hitler? Was it him responsible on his own? Or was it the people of Germany who are responsible for lifting up someone like him into a position of power? So it's similar to that. So I want to bring up this idea of defeat or loss, which kind of takes us back with this aim. Who's responsible? Did the Germans win, or was it that the French lost? So look at these scores from some sporting events. You can see there's a soccer score up here. I just circled it. The score in this game was Germany 7 goals, Brazil 0. So you might argue in that case, wow, Brazil, they did nothing. They didn't even score a goal. They couldn't stop Germany from scoring all these goals. They really, really, really did not do well. Okay. On the other hand, there's another score, a baseball score that I highlighted right now. That score is New York Yankees 12, Texas 5. And in that case, you might say, well, the Yankees won, but Texas scored 5 runs in that particular game, and the Yankees just scored a lot more. The Yankees were better. So it's not that Texas didn't show up and they just got rolled on, but they just didn't do enough. And if you look at another score, you can see, well, if they had been playing another game, another team, you can see, well, 5 runs was enough in that other game. Oakland scored 5 runs and beat Kansas City to their 2 runs. So the difference, we're trying to get thinking about this idea of like, okay, was it just that the defense wasn't there at all, or that the offense was so good? The French defense was too weak, or the German offense, meaning their attack, was really just too good. All right, so here's our warm-up question. You kind of like do a little think aloud as we walk through this. This is just review to get you thinking back to our interwar period, which I know was so long ago. So the review question is this. Nazi Germany defeated the first country it invaded in about 1 month. Which country did it invade? You're thinking about it. You're trying to remember. Maybe you're pausing the video right now. Maybe you're looking back at your notes. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're just waiting for me to show it on the slide. It was Poland in 1939. Now, the follow-up question for review is, why was it that Nazi Germany was able to conquer that country so quickly? All right, so maybe you're thinking about it again, thinking, why did they beat them so quickly? What had Germany done? There's a couple of things maybe you're thinking of. Maybe you're looking back at your notes. And here are 2 things. One, they had rebuilt their military. This was against the Treaty of Versailles for them to do. And they had also used this new strategy called blitzkrieg. In other words, lightning war, very, very fast attacks, first with airplanes and then followed by tanks on the ground, moving in quickly. So that's why they were able to defeat the military of Poland so quickly. So here's some photos to go along with that. The German tank production line that you see here, they produced a lot of tanks and weapons and vehicles, which was against the treaty. But remember, one of the things Hitler had said he wanted to do was to basically tear up the treaty and remilitarize Germany, which had been demilitarized. And this is that blitzkrieg warfare technique. We already saw this photo in particular when we were discussing this in our last unit. Here is another photo of, this is some of those tanks made in those factories invading Poland September 1939. So that's our warm-up review. Normally what we would do in class for this particular lesson is we would do a simulation of the Battle of France, and half of the class would be thinking about that battle from the French perspective, trying to defend against Germany's attack. And the other half of the class would be thinking from Germany's perspective and trying to figure out how to best attack or invade France. So what we do when we do that lesson is we have a map, and the map of Europe shows both of those countries. So here's France with their 5 million French soldiers that they are able to mobilize. Here is Germany with their 2.5 million German soldiers, which is less than what France had, but was certainly more than what they were allowed to have under the Treaty of Versailles. And they had built up about 2,500 tanks, represented here, as you can see, by tractors, because there is not a tank emoji, just a tractor emoji. So, some additional info. France was superior in industrial resources. They had a larger population. They had more military manpower available to them. But they also had serious economic problems as a result of the Great Depression, which had affected not just Germany, which we already looked at, but also obviously the United States and France as well. And the horrors of World War I had created a deep desire for the French to avoid any more suffering, which is one of the reasons that they had already appeased Hitler in allowing him to take the Sudetenland from Czechoslovakia, and then eventually he went and took the rest of it on his own. So the French really, really want to avoid conflict at all costs, and Germany, on its side, had the most efficient and effective fighting force for its size in the world: 2.5 million men, 2,500 tanks. They had also already made an agreement with Stalin, which we talked about in class, agreeing to not fight each other, which basically means the Germans don't have to worry about being attacked from the east. They only have to focus on France in the west. And Germany had just defeated Poland in approximately a month using their blitzkrieg strategy. So here's a little bit more about the geography that relates to the conflict between these two countries. They share a border about 280 miles long. Germans had already moved some troops into an area called the Rhineland, which they were not supposed to have any troops in according to the Treaty of Versailles. It was supposed to be a buffer zone between Germany and France, as well as Belgium, who's also bordering along there. The Belgian government received a guarantee of neutrality from Nazi Germany before the war even began. And then the last thing to note is that amphibious invasions, which means going from water to land, are extremely difficult, usually result in disaster for the company invading from water to land. So it's unlikely that Germany is going to use that type of attack. So let me go back to the map here for you a second. So here's that border. You can see I've highlighted the label there. France and Germany share a 280-mile border. So France is particularly vulnerable there. And Germany has remilitarized the Rhineland. They've placed troops in that zone that was supposed to be demilitarized and was supposed to be a buffer. So the French are probably concerned about being attacked from there. And Belgium has been guaranteed neutrality. So in a way, you kind of think of that as like, though that's off limits to Germany going and invading into Belgium to get to France. So France is thinking, well, we really need to worry about maybe that border. And they're thinking we probably don't need to worry about being attacked from the water up in the English Channel, although Germany could travel that direction. As I said, amphibious, which means water to land invasions, are very difficult. So Germany's probably not going to do that. Some other things you need to know about the geography as planning out this strategy is there is a forest called the Ardennes Forest. Looks like this. It's located along that barrier between Germany and France. It is very, very difficult to travel through. So France is thinking we're probably not going to need to defend the Ardennes Forest as heavily. To the south, there is a mountain range called the Alps. The Alps are very, very tall, very high, very difficult to cross. Those are going to be located here. So Germany is unlikely to try to go through Switzerland. And additional geography you should know, the northern European plain is a very, very flat, grassy area in northern Europe. It is located here. So because it's flat, it would be possible to travel through there. However, remember, the Germans had guaranteed Belgium neutrality, which means they're not involved. They're not on either side. They're not on France's side. They're not on Germany's side. They're neutral, which means Germany, if they honor their agreement, will not attack them. Okay, so when we plan this out, or when we do this in class, students decide, okay, what should France do? Where should they put their troops? Should they attack first? Should they play defense? The students who are doing Germany's side decide, should Germany attack first? Should Germany just play defense and wait? And then we discuss the different strategies that students came up with. Since we're not going to do that part of the activity together, I'll walk you through what did happen, and then this will sort of reveal to you maybe you already have some ideas as to what's going to happen. All right, so after they declared war on Germany, the French and British, who were their allies who had also declared war along with them against Germany, put their troops on this thing called the Maginot Line. It's sort of mostly along that border with Germany and some troops along the border with Belgium just in case. And then they just waited and nothing happened. And nothing happened for a very long time. And this became what's known as Sitzkrieg, which is a play on words with Blitzkrieg. Instead of attacking quickly, they just sit, hence Sitzkrieg, and wait for an attack to happen. And for a long time, nothing did. Okay. And here is what the strategy looked like. So that Maginot Line, you see all the stronger defense there along the border with Germany, which is 280 miles long, so it's a very long border to defend. And then they put their weaker defenses over here along Belgium. They felt they didn't need to put as many troops there. They should put them all along the shared border because Germany is more likely to attack there. So nothing happens for a while. And then suddenly, on April 9th, 1940, the calm ended. Hitler launched a surprise invasion of Denmark, which is up to the north, and Norway as well. And here's the result of that. The Danes were not very well prepared. This is a photo of the Danish bicycle infantry versus German panzer tanks, and you can see which of the two had more advanced military equipment. Here's the result of that war. Germany defeated Denmark in a total of just 4 hours for the entire war to end. And you can see on this map up here where Denmark is located. Okay, so what's next? So Germany now has to decide, okay, are we going to go attack France next, right through that heavily guarded border, or are we going to do something else? Here's what they do. They basically begin an invasion through the Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg, even though they had guaranteed neutrality to Belgium. So it's going to look like this. Back to our map. The Germans are going to go through the northern plain because it's flat. It's easiest for those tanks to move through. They're going to move right through that Maginot Line and the Ardennes forest, which the French had thought was very difficult to travel through, was not difficult for these tanks that the Nazis had developed. So, in addition to going through Belgium, they also split right through that forest with their panzer tanks. And they move across France very, very quickly. And eventually, they're going to end up taking Paris. You can see the Eiffel Tower, or it's supposed to look like the Eiffel Tower there. They end up taking Paris, okay? The French surrender, and the Germans make them surrender, and they do something very, very interesting. So they make them get this railroad car out of a museum, which had been placed in a museum because it was the same railroad car or wagon in which Germany had signed the agreement to end World War I. So when World War I ended, Germany signed in this same railroad car, this war is over, we lost, and then they worked out the deal later in the Treaty of Versailles. Hitler ordered that that exact wagon be moved out of the museum that was in to the exact same location where the agreement had been signed to end World War I for the signing of the new agreement with Germany victorious this time. In this photo, French leaders are signing off that they are accepting the loss to Germany. Here's Hitler posing before the Eiffel Tower. I think this is a very iconic photo. It's very striking to see someone, obviously we know, Nazi leader, very evil, very ruthless, standing in front of this very, very iconic cultural icon of the Eiffel Tower. All right, so that's the results of it. This is the vocabulary, which you can put in your notebook. You could pause the video right now to put this in your notebook. But basically, the vocabulary is the Battle of France, how things went. Battle of France, aka the fall of France. The Nazis invade France during World War II. The Germans defeat the Allied forces, and in the Battle of France, they conquered France, Belgium, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands in just 6 weeks total to conquer all 4 of those countries, including Belgium, who they had promised neutrality to, but they didn't keep that deal. Okay, so here's what's next after you do the vocabulary. On Google Classroom, this article will be posted for you to read. You're going to read, annotate the article, or if you can print it out. And if you don't have it printed out, that's fine, but you're gonna like mentally annotate it, I guess. And you're going to do a task similar to what we've done before. So on Google Classroom, not in your notebook, but on Google Classroom, you will write a response to this. Who should be considered primarily responsible for the fall of France to Nazi Germany? Is it the strong German military? Is it the weak French defense system? Or if you think it's some other factor, what's the other factor that's responsible for it? So you're going to do like we've been doing. You're going to make a claim. Either the strong German military should be considered responsible, or the weak French defense system should be considered responsible. You're going to provide evidence that supports your claim. Then you're going to explain that evidence. Then you're going to acknowledge the counterclaim. So if I said the strong German military should be considered primarily responsible, then my counterclaim is going to be that some people may argue that the weak French defense system should be blamed. However, and then I'll prove either why that's wrong or show why my evidence is stronger. And that will conclude the task for this particular lesson. We will check it on Google Classroom, give you feedback if necessary, and then we'll continue with the next task on the next day. So, a couple of things to finish out. Don't forget, obviously, we want you to be safe, be healthy. That's number one. Hope you're doing that. Stay inside. Limit your contact with other people. If you want to talk to your friends, FaceTime them. You don't need to meet up in person, and you shouldn't be meeting up in person. Check Google Classroom every day. We'll be posting more things, videos that we've made. We might post other videos. We'll make any announcements. We'll put the tasks up there. We'll keep you updated on homework, upcoming assessments, etc. If this is confusing at all, we understand. Please feel free to ask us lots of questions. And lastly, be patient. Please trust us. This is new to you. It's new to us. But as long as you're doing your best to keep up and learn, then your grade will be fine and you will be learning. So thanks again. And I'll get back on the regular video here with Joaquin. Okay, I'm back here with Joaquin to say bye, and he's going to show you his science experiment. What are you doing?
I'm trying to get a dinosaur out of this big ice cubes.
And what are you using?
I'm using a hammer.
And what else are you using?
And some salt and some water. And some salt and some water.
Okay, very good. So maybe later we'll show you guys what happens when we get the dinosaurs out. Say bye.
Bye.